Are we truly following the Messiah? Many of us are following, quote unquote, Jesus. What has been taught to us about Jesus is that Jesus, according to the way that these people have taught us about this Messiah named Jesus, is that we're not to keep the laws anymore. But he never said that. Jesus, who they've taught to us, might have said that. But the Messiah, Yahusha, the Hebrew Messiah, he didn't teach that. He taught us to keep the commandments. All throughout the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, go back and read it. You will see that he never told us to deviate away from the commandments. In fact, he said just the opposite. Anyone who teaches you to break the least of these commandments and teaches men to do so shall be considered least in the kingdom of heaven. That's not talking about you getting in. It's talking about judgment day. On judgment day, you will be in that group, that category called the goat, left of the throne. These are the least. They're not getting in. They're getting ready to get tossed into the lake. The Messiah says, if you love me, John chapter 14, verse 15, note it, look at it. If you love me, keep my commandments. If you are truly following the Messiah, Yahusha, yes, we're not to be turning back. We're not to be going back to the world. He says if we go back to turn back into the world, he says his heart has nothing to do with us. He will remove his lampstand from within you. He will remove his spirit from within your body. Yet too many people want to sit in these temples, these pagan temples called churches. These pagan temples that they go to every Wednesday and Sunday. And they allow these people to speak into their life from the pulpit while they're sitting in the pews. And they're allowing these people to talk to them, telling them how they're to receive salvation. When the scripture clearly tells us when the new covenant comes, no longer shall anyone have to teach you. It says, for they shall all know me. From the least of them to the greatest of them, they shall all know me. Who's he talking about? We don't see everybody knowing him. He's talking about those who are seeking him. They shall all know him. That's not a blanket statement for all of humankind. But that's the way people think of it. That's not what he's saying. He's saying for those that are hungry and thirsty for righteousness, they shall know him. They will know him. This is why he says, my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. But why do so many of us not follow him when he tells us, if you love me, keep my commandments? We say, nope. Paul said, the Apostle Paul said, and I love Apostle Paul. I love his readings. I mean, I love his writings. I love his letters. I read them a lot. What I don't like is the mistranslation or the twisting of the interpretation of what he has said to make it sound like we're not to be following the law. Let me show you a few passages of what Paul said. Let's go to the book of Romans. In the book of Romans, chapter 3, the very last verse of chapter 3 says this. Romans chapter 3, verse 31. Do we then nullify the TORAH, the law? Do we then abolish, is what he's saying, the law? Through our belief, through our faith? Let it not be. Let it not be. Some of your translations will say, certainly not. On the contrary, just the opposite. We establish the law. What part of that did Paul say where we don't have to follow it anymore? If he's saying that we established the law, how was that done away with? How was that no longer to be followed? How was that voided out? How was that nullified? It's not. It's not. Let me read another one for you. Right here in the same book called Romans, chapter 7. He says here, verse 7, what then shall we say? Is the law sin? Let it not be. Let me say that again. Let me say that again, because Christianity is looking at the law as if it's evil, as if it's wicked, as if it's darkness, as if it's sin, as if it's transgression to keep the law. That doesn't even make sense for me even saying that. They think it's transgression to follow the law. Let me read it again. Romans 7:7. What then shall we say? Is the law sin? Guess what Shaul said? Guess what Paul said? He says, let it not be. The same words that we just read in Romans chapter 3, verse 31. So it goes on and says, however, I did not know sin except through the law, for also to covetous. I knew not if the law did not say, you shall not covet. But sin, having taken an occasion through the commandment, did work in me all sorts of covetousness. This was the problem that the rich young ruler had in Matthew chapter 19, verse 6. Look at that. You see that? 30 people done left the building. I told you, every time we get to talking about the truth and how you to keep the commandments, and remember, these are laws of conduct, not laws for salvation. This is how we're supposed to conduct ourselves. You just don't become lawless. That is a form of witchcraft, to be rebellious. But you got people doing it every day. They give themselves excuses why they're not going to do it. Well, I'm a Gentile. Oh, well, then you definitely ain't a believer. If you're calling yourself a Gentile, you're not a believer. You haven't really metamorphosized in the brain. You haven't transformed your mind. You're still believing that you are a Gentile means that you haven't transformed your mind. What is your mind supposed to be transformed to? You're supposed to have it transformed into the same mindset as the Messiah had when he was here on this earth. And what kind of mindset did he have? Follow the law. That was his mindset. This is why he told all the disciples that were going to be his disciples, follow me. Follow after me. Do what I'm doing. Because after all, he came here as a mere man. He stripped himself of all of his authority, of all of his power. He came to show us the way. This is why he says, I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. No one can come to the Father except through me. And if you're not doing what he says, when he says, if you love me, keep my commandments, then you have nothing in him. This is why he says again, and I'm saying this and I'm reiterating it, my sheep know my voice and they follow me. What is so difficult about this? Why don't we want to follow him? Because we're following man. We're following our pastors. We're following our what? Preachers. We're following our evangelists, our ministers, our reverends, our bishops, our apostles, and and our prophetesses. But you're not following the one you're supposed to be following. The one that you're supposed to be following is the Messiah. Deny yourself, pick up your stake, and follow after me. But people don't want to do that. Soon as you get to start talking about this law, just like talking about his true name, it is straight up kryptonite to a lot of people. Or it's like throwing water on a witch. Can't take it. But he's told us to follow him, to keep his commandments. It's strewn all over the New Testament. It's all over the place. Read 1 John. Read 1 John, the letter, the 1 John. Just read it. From chapter 1, verse 1, all the way to chapter 5. Read all 5 chapters. I'm telling you, if you look at it with understanding that you're to keep the law, you'll see it all over the place. And this was a disciple who was walking with the Messiah for 3.5 years. He was walking with the Messiah for 3.5 years. And he says, this is the message that you heard from the beginning of him who we preach. That in him there is no darkness at all. That Elohim is light. We are to follow his commandments. And when you read chapter 2 of that same letter, 1 John chapter 2, verse 3, if we say that we know him and we do not keep his commandments, we are a liar, and the truth, the Messiah, is not dwelling in us. Is not dwelling in us. He who says he knows him and yet does not keep his commandments, you are a liar. Think about that. This is why he's going to say to so many of you on that day when you say, but haven't I prophesied in your name? Haven't I casted out demons in your name? Haven't I done all these mighty miracles in your name? And what did he say he's going to say to them? And I shall say to them, depart from me. Depart from me. Like he don't even, you make him disgusted of you. He's disgusted with you. Depart from me. I never knew you. Never is the key word there. He never knew you. So that means when you said that prayer at the so-called altar, when that pastor said to all of you who had your hands raised up and had all your eyes closed and all these heads bowed, and you came up here to the altar to quote unquote give your life to Jesus Christ, and you said this magical prayer, and your pastor's over here lying to you, talking about today if you was to die now because you said this magical prayer, you're going to be in heaven. Well, the Messiah said, I never knew you. I never knew you. Why did he never know you? Because you're not keeping the law. That's what he says next. Depart from me, you worker of lawlessness, you worker without the Torah, you who practices lawlessness, to not keep the law. He says, those who love me keep my words. They keep my commandments. All of this is intertwined. Everything that I'm sharing with you is intertwined. There's no 7 steps to faith and five steps to sanctification and all this other mess that they be preaching and teaching in these pagan temples. Because I used to be one of them that used to preach in these pagan temples. And that's exactly what I used to teach. Lawlessness, Torahlessness, saying the law has been done away with. And I would tell the people in the congregation, anybody who tells you to keep the law, these are legalists. Do not listen to them. Because this is why the Messiah came and did what he did, because we rest in the Messiah. He paid it for us. He did everything for us, so we don't have to do anything. If anybody thinks they have to work for their salvation, they don't know the Messiah. That's what I said. And so this is why I understand now, with those scales removed off of my eyes, that Christianity, what's the word I'm looking for? The polarized lenses of Christianity, I had to remove those so I can see the truth. And it wasn't just a thing that happened overnight, like I shared yesterday. This was something that it took a while. But some of you, let me make this marking here, but some of you are going through a crash course and you're learning it very fast because time is running out. Time is running out. And not only is time running out, but we got people to save. We got people to share this message with. As you all know that came into this truth, you know who the hardest people to preach to and to teach and share. It's our friends and our family. You know why? Because they used to see us doing all the things that we weren't supposed to be doing just like they were doing. Going clubbing, going to the bars and drinking, you know, playing pool, going to concerts, drinking at the concerts, acting like the world is hunky-dory, everything is beautiful. Yay, sing it, encore, 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 right? And we're not even thinking about what the rest of the world is going on. We're not thinking about what Yahushua is about to do. He's about to crack that sky. They, our family members, our friends, they all saw us coming and celebrating their birthdays, and they come and celebrate our birthdays, and we'll go to their house for Thanksgiving. They'll turn around and come to our house for Thanksgiving. Everybody's full, body's glad, watching NFL, sitting down, kicking back beer or whatever drink that you want. And then we do the same thing when it comes to Christmas, and we all come together. How we want this dreaming of a white Christmas. Well, here in the desert, we're not going to have one really. But nonetheless, you know what I'm saying. And this is what they remember of you. They remember you doing these things with them. And now you're not doing it. What's wrong with Jimmy? We used to always go to his house for Christmas. We used to always go to his house for Thanksgiving. We used to always put up all those scary little things for Halloween and scare the kids and you know, have all these things all set up, having this little walkway for the kids to come through this little haunted house looking thing. And, you know, we used to do it up. I used to do all that stuff, man. I was a pagan of the pagans. That's what I was doing. Decking my house up with the lights and ornaments, and I had to go get the biggest tree that'd fit under my ceiling, and I would do all of that stuff. I always had to do it big. That's the way I was doing it. If I could afford it, I'm gonna do it. Not knowing I was displeasing my Creator. Not knowing that He wasn't happy with me. And here I am, just going about my day, not thinking about Him, not doing what He wants me to do, but I was doing as the Romans were doing. Didn't care a bit until He pricked my being one day. Until He got me to see otherwise. And now that I see it, I'm glad that I cannot unsee it. You know, my mother is here right now from the East Coast, and I love my mom. Just like I'm sure many of you love your mom and your dad if they're still around. And my mom, she's raised me well, but she didn't know the truth. She raised me how to, you know, care for others. You know, the 6 commandments, how to love your neighbor as yourself. I did that. I was raised that way. Same thing with my dad. He raised me that way. Well, that's about the 3rd time that butterfly came whizzing by my face. But I do know, as much as my mom doesn't know this truth, I know somewhere deep down inside of her, she knows that what she was taught in Christianity isn't the truth. And I try to share with her. But you know what? Just like some of you, you might know people like this. My mom's idol is TV. Or you can say entertainment on her laptop or on her, what is it? Her iPad. That's what it is. She loves her K-drama. She watches her Korean drama. So much so that when I call my mom sometimes when she's not here in Vegas and she's on the East Coast, I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? She goes, you know what I'm doing. I'm studying. I'm like, studying what? She says, Korean drama. And we just start laughing. But that's not a laughing matter when you think about it. Because she literally has made Korean drama her idol. She's placed that before everything, before her kids, before her grandkids, even before herself. She got to watch her K-pop, her K-drama. Yep, you're right, Lupe. It's so difficult. And when you see your mom, your parent, having an idol in their life, and you can't get them to stop looking at it. I mean, my mom's well in her 80s. Let me text my wife real quick. She just made it to work. Give me a second, everyone. All right. And so, like I was saying, my mom, she's well in her 80s, and she loves her some Korean drama. And I know if she doesn't change her ways, my mom is lost. My mom will be lost. Either Yahuah is going to take her home early before all this stuff that's getting ready to happen is going to happen, or she's going to be here to witness this. But I hope maybe she's here to witness this so that she'll realize the stuff that I've been telling her and the family, that her son isn't crazy, that her son was truly hearing the truth, and he just wanted me to know the truth too. Even if my mom doesn't follow, just to know that I wasn't lying to her. I think that's all I really want. I mean, I want her to be saved, don't get me wrong. But you know, reality is reality, and I'm just in reality. I'm not gonna think in a fanciful way, or fanciful way, however you say that. And then I also have some brothers and sister. None of them know the truth. Every time I talk about this stuff, I either upset them, they get mad at me. It changes our conversation. It changes our relationship. So if I talk about mundane things, they could care less. But when I get to talking about the truth, oh, they have a problem with that. They got a huge problem with that. They don't like that. And it's sad because, you know, I can't imagine what it's going to be like, nor do I want to have that separation from our Father. And not only to have that separation, but you're getting put into this lake of fire. Regardless if you're not going to be in there forever or if you're going to be extinct, the fact of the matter is that you're not going to exist in front of Yahuah's face anymore. He won't answer your call. You won't get to enjoy life, regardless of what you think is going to happen. Either you're just totally exterminated, or if you're going to be living in this place called the lake of fire for the rest of eternity. Either way, it's not a great look. And I don't know about you, but that's not where I want to go, nor do I want any of my friends or family to go there. But everyone's going to make their own choices. Everyone's going to make their own decisions. It's just so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. Let me see where my battery life is here. Oh yeah, it's almost time for me to get off here in a little bit. I got to go charge her back up. So unfortunate, Mishpachah. But with that being said, we can't give up on them. We can't give up on them. We got to continue on doing what we're supposed to be doing. And we're going to continue to follow those laws. Remember, there are laws of conduct. It's how we conduct ourselves. It's not for salvation. The only reason why we can even attain salvation is because of the shedding blood of our Messiah. So it keeps us in right standing as we're doing the laws of conduct. So I'll be back on at true noon here on the West Coast, specifically geographically here in Vegas, which will be right around 12:30. And hope to see you then. We'll get into Palal at that time for those of us here on the West Coast. For those of you who don't know, you should be praying when the sun comes up, when the sun is at its zenith, what we call high noon, not 12 o'clock. Excuse me, I got people always saying to me, is that 12 o'clock? No, it's not 12 o'clock. You got to start thinking like this. You got to think outside the box, okay? If it's something that you are not using with the sun when it comes to timekeeping, then you're probably doing it because of man. So if you read something where someone tells you you're to pray at certain times, don't try to connect that or correlate it to your pagan timekeeping. Use exactly what Yahuah has given us. Use the brain and use the orb in the sky. That's all you got to do. Use your brain and use the orb in the sky. When he says to pray 3 times a day at sunrise, don't say in your brain, so are you saying 6 o'clock in the morning? Stop doing that. You're forcing man's paganism into Yah's worship. Don't do it. So when he says, rise early and pray, you're looking at the sun coming up. You know it's time to pray. When we're told to pray at midday, that's not talking about you don't bring in man's clock and say, oh, that's 12 o'clock. No, it's not 12 o'clock. It might be certain times of the year. You need to be using the sun, the S-U-N. When that sun is at that zenith, true noon, you can Google it. Google it. If you have to go and you don't want to use a sundial, Google what time is it on your pagan watch that is going to be true noon in your location, and it will tell you. What is true noon? And you put in your location. It'll tell you what the true noon is. It will not be 12 o'clock, guaranteed, unless it just so happened to be falling on that day, because it will fall on a noon time on certain areas of the earth at that particular time. But most of the time, it's not falling on that day, because it changes every day. It changes every day. And then the last time that you pray during the day, not the night watches, during the day, is right after the sun goes beyond the horizon, where you don't see the sun, but you see the sunlight. That is called evening in the Hebrew tongue, Arab, or as we would say in the English, Arab. So I want to thank all of you for being here with me today. I'll be back on here in a little while. Let us palah before our Abba Yahuah. Heavenly Father, we come before you in the mighty name of your Bane, Yahushua HaMashiach, giving you all praise, honor, and esteem. Abba, we ask that you would continue to use us. Continue to reveal yourself to us. Continue to teach us and guide us by your word, O Abba. May we not be guarded by men, but that we're guarded by you. Abba, may we continue to seek after your ways and after your thoughts, not our ways and our thoughts. Help us to be mindful of you throughout our day, O Abba. Go before us on this Yaum. Help us to continue to share this message with others. May you open up a door for us to evangelize, be it with our friends and our family or even a stranger that may come our way. And give us the zeal. Look into your word. May we eat by every word that comes out and proceeds out of your mouth, O Abba Yahuah. This is our palah on this Yaum in this afternoon. In Yahusha's mighty name we palah. Hallelujah, Yahuah. Hallelujah, Yahuah. And hallelujah, Yahuah. Amat. Rumamu Yahuah. All right, Mishpachah. We will get together here soon, Yahuah willing. My name is Jimmy, also known as Brother Jimmy, and we are ambassadors of Yah. Shalom.